here today to read you the newest book in the collection, The Pig in a Wig. It is written by Alan McDonald, illustrated by Paul Hess. And my friend Dottie here is sitting with me to listen to this wonderful story. Once there were some animals who lived on a farm in a humble, tumble-down barn. One of them was a pig called Peggotty. Peggotty was a polite, kind-hearted pig, but she was rather proud of her looks, and she spent hours admiring her reflection in the duck pond. She believed herself to be the prettiest, pinkest, and most perfect pig in the world. One morning, some lambs passed the farmyard gate on their way to the fields. Peggotty was gazing at herself in the duck pond as usual. The lambs were very pleased with their new woolly coats and hadn't yet learned any manners. They stopped to stare at her. "Ugly old pig, you're pink and fat, and you're bald too," they bleated. The lambs skipped off giggling, leaving Peggotty to gaze at her reflection again. Instead of seeing the prettiest, pinkest, most perfect pig, she now saw an awfully ugly, bald pig. A tear trickled down her snout and plopped into the duck pond. Why had she been born bald? She wondered. There must have been some mistake. She dried her eyes and decided to ask some of her barnyard friends. She found the old horse munching hay in the barn. "Excuse me," said Peggotty, most politely, "but could you tell me why I'm bald?" "Bald? Ah, yes," the old horse said, clearing his throat. "The reason you're bald is that you have no mane," he replied. "And please," asked Peggotty, "is that what makes me so awfully ugly?" "Why, of course," nickered the horse. "There is no finer thing in all the world than a glossy and galloping mane." "I see," said Peggotty. "Thank you." Peggotty trotted into the barnyard, where she spotted the Marmalade Cat curled up in a sunny spot. "Excuse me," said Peggotty most politely, "but do you know why I'm bald?" The Marmalade Cat opened one eye and looked at Peggotty. "The reason you're bald is that you're wearing no fur," she replied. Peggotty nodded sadly. "And is that what makes me so awfully ugly?" "Of course," purred the cat. "There's no finer thing in the world than a lickable, tickable fur." "I see," said Peggotty. "Thank you." For the rest of the day, Peggotty hid herself from the other animals. It was after dark when she returned to the humble tumble-down barn. Only the moon was out. "Oh, luminous moon," sighed Peggotty, "why was I born so bald and so awfully ugly?" To her surprise, a voice replied, "The reason you're bald is that you have no fabulous feathers to flaunt." Peggotty looked up. It wasn't the moon talking after all. It was the singing rooster on the roof. "Can you help me?" asked Peggotty most politely. "I've asked everyone why I'm bald and awfully ugly, and they say it's because I haven't got a glossy and galloping mane or lickable, tickable fur, not to mention fabulous feathers to flaunt, but I don't see what I can do about it." The rooster strutted back and forth on the crest of the roof. "It would indeed be a strange and wonderful sight if a pig could grow feathers," the rooster crowed. Suddenly, Peggotty got an idea. Without thanking the singing rooster or bidding him good night, she trotted into the barn. All that night, while the other animals slept, strange rustling and scuttling sounds came from Peggotty's corner. When the first sunlight crept into the barn, the rooster crowed, and the animals stretched and yawned and shuffled out into the yard. Everyone stared at Peggotty. Overnight, she had grown hair, golden locks of hair as curly as the pig's tail. Peggotty tossed her head proudly and paraded in front of them. Just then, the young lambs passed by the gate, following their mothers up the fields. "Look at the pig!" shouted one. She got on her head?" The pig is wearing a wig, they cried. They all crowded around the gate, bleating and giggling at poor Peggotty. The pig in a wig, the pig in a wig, they chorused. Peggotty's pink face turned red. She spun around and fled up the hill. She didn't stop running until she reached the big farmhouse at the top. There she crept into the shadow of the wall and wept. Tears ran down her plump cheeks, and the straw wig lay crooked and crumpled on her head. A voice wailed nearby. Peggotty sniffled and listened. It was coming from the farmhouse. "Hush, hush, my darling. Don't cry, my precious," another voice sang. Standing on her hind legs, Peggotty could just see into the window. The farmer's wife sat on the floor washing something in the tub. In the tub of water lay a baby human. Its eyes were screwed up tight, and its tiny hands waved in the air. It was as pink as Peggotty. But what surprised her most of all was this. The baby was completely bald. It was a pink, plump, and perfectly hairless human. The farmer's wife tickled the baby's round tummy. "You're beautiful, my beautiful angel," she cooed. The baby began to gurgle and giggle. Peggotty pressed her face against the glass, smiling back. At that moment, the farmer's wife looked up and saw the bedraggled, bewigged face at the window. "Help!" she screamed. "A horrible, hairy monster!" Peggotty fell backward with fright. The crooked, crumpled wig fell off. She left it in the mud and galloped through the gate and back down the hill. That night, Peggotty told her story to the other animals in the humble, tumble-down barn. And so she concluded, if you are hairy, humans think you're a horrible monster. But if you are bald, and here she blushed modestly, they call you an angel. And they say you are beautiful, she added, holding her head up a little higher. Peggotty has never worn a wig since that day, and she doesn't believe that the finest thing in all the world is a glossy and galloping mane, or lickable, tickable fur, or fabulous feathers to flaunt. She thinks that pigs are born just perfect. And you know what? I think she's right. I think we all are, just the way we are. Unique, different, and just being perfectly us. Bye.